Hello, everyone. We are live and we're talking about bad back days. And I'm sure we can all relate to that. What does that mean? It's those days when you're waking up in the morning and you're already feeling stiff and achy and you feel like, oh, I just want to go straight back to bed. It's those days where maybe at the end of the day, you're feeling like, oh, my back is killing me. I can't do anything anymore. So bad back days. Those of you who are joining me live, feel free to join the conversation as well. Let me know, when was your last bad back day and what did you do about it? So my name is Christine Jareggi-Berry. For those of you who are new here, I'm a yoga and Pilates teacher, and I specialize in teaching those with scoliosis. So that is really what we're talking about here today. And we're talking about what should we do, or what can we do, what should be in our toolkit for those bad back days. So should it be resting? Should it be moving? Should it be changing, modifying things? So what can we do maybe just to relieve the pain, but also how should we maybe adjust our movement practice? Good. So first thing, I think, and I've just recently I had a bad back day the other day, and I knew exactly where it was coming from. So these are kind of the easy days, I find, because basically I was on a long trip to Germany. My sister got married and we had a wonderful time there. But then on the way back, we had a little bit of a nightmare journey back, and it took us literally 12 hours in the car driving back from Germany with, unfortunately, not many breaks. So I didn't get the opportunity to move around. I was lucky enough that my husband was driving for some of the time. The rest of the time I was driving, and I was basically in this car seat and like in this position, obviously with the hands forwards when I was driving. Even if I wasn't driving, it wasn't great for my back. So I definitely paid the price afterwards for it. So this is just an example of what a bad back day could look like. Sometimes those bad back days are just turning into bad back weeks or months, obviously. This is the sort of thing we want to avoid because, and this is a whole other topic, if we're talking about chronic pain, or if once pain becomes chronic, it's very, very difficult, or it's harder, a lot harder to get rid of it, because we kind of taught our brain what it's like to be in pain, and the brain's like, well, okay, we're going to give you pain all the time because apparently that's the way forward. So obviously for us, this is not acceptable. We don't accept this, but we do have to kind of go beyond a little bit and maybe dig a little bit deeper, just beyond the physical. And very, very rarely do bad back days come without anything else. So there might be things like lack of sleep. Maybe you haven't slept properly. You might feel generally overwhelmed. You might feel overworked. You might feel generally tired, exhausted. There might be other things going on. For me, even though the wedding was lovely, but I was maid of honor, so I had a lot of responsibilities on the day itself. And it was actually quite a stressful week. So I know that it wasn't just that long drive that caused it, but it was everything around it as well. So I had to really take a little bit of time to reset myself and to kind of get out of this cycle. So nowadays, what I do, first thing is not to panic. So just because you have a bad back day or even a week, it doesn't mean that this stays like this forever. And I've got a lovely one-to-one client of mine, and we've been working together for years. And we know this now, right? We know that this might be kind of an up and down. In the beginning, she was in a lot of pain all the time. And she needed a walking stick. She needed a back brace all the time. But then once she saw that she can get out of pain, it all became a little bit easier. And what kind of came as a big wave of huge pain She didn't see it as a wave. She saw it as, well, this is my life now. I'm going to be permanently in pain. But once she saw that she could get out of it, whatever came afterwards became a lot easier. And now when we meet, sometimes we acknowledge, okay, it's a little bit worse at the moment, so we change, we modify. And it doesn't mean stopping everything that you do. So this is just something that I want to stress. And again, with her, what I love is that even though she might be in pain, she will still say, Christine, can we have a session? And that's exactly when you want to go to your practitioner, to your movement practice, whatever you do to help you with pain, because those are the things where you can actually make a difference. Because sometimes people make the mistake and they're like, I'm in too much pain, I cannot do yoga, I cannot do Pilates. Well, I would challenge that. And maybe, yes, maybe you won't go to your regular, whatever, hot yoga, vinyasa, fast-paced class, but maybe you can do a little practice at home. And maybe you have got some go-to poses. Maybe you've got some go-to exercise or a little routine. Maybe it's a video from the YouTube channel. Anything like that, where you know this is safe and this makes me feel good. And I would always recommend to first of all think, okay, I have a bad back day. I'm in pain right now, right in this moment. It's not going to last forever. What can I do? So we're trying to stay positive. What can I actually do? I can do breathing practice, right? You can be in the worst pain ever. You can still do breathing. Yes, you'll have to find the right position where you can do this breathing practice in. And maybe it's not lying on the floor on your yoga mat on the back, because that might not be accessible right now. But it could just be sitting in a chair. It could be lying on your bed. So there are certain things, there are always things. And if it's just breathing, it's the perfect way in, because what you're going to do is you're going to calm your nervous system down. And calming your nervous system is really the key into getting out of the bad back cycle. Because if your nervous system is on alert, it's going to make your pain worse. And I'm doing this because that's literally what's happening. Everything is kind of tensing and tightening up. And obviously the other way around as well. So sometimes what happens is we have that physical pain and it's stressing us out. If we get stressed, we get physical pain. So this is the cycle that we need to break. And calming the nervous system is probably the best way to do this. And this might not, for me, this is a lovely supported Shavasana with lots and lots of blankets. I love Yoga Nidra. So just listening to a guided Yoga Nidra practice. These are the sort of things that work for me. Now, this might or might not work for you. For you, it might be something else. It might be going for a lovely walk in the countryside, listening to some music. It might be something else. So think about the things that make you feel at ease, that make you feel kind of calm and relaxed. So this is kind of one of the first things, but let's come back to this idea of what can we actually do. And obviously, yes, you can do your breathing, but there are other movements as well that you can probably do. And what we want to try to avoid is stopping everything and saying, well, I'm in pain, so I better just lie on my sofa until it goes away. Well, the bad news is that's probably not, it might temporarily be okay. But for anything longer than half a day, this is not a good idea, because if we don't use it, we lose it. So we do want to make sure, and it's actually what we now have learned, is that the body heals much quicker when you keep moving. So some of you know I had a knee injury earlier in the year, and actually the best piece of advice I got was like, get back to normal as quickly as possible. So start to do the things that you can do. You don't want to push through pain, obviously, but maybe you can do like 10% of the movement. Maybe you can do a tiny little bit of that, and working yourself incrementally to that full range again. So that's exactly, and I love Judith Hansen-Lassiter is one of my teachers that I greatly admire, and she always says any amount of the pose is still the pose. So any amount of that, whatever you do, your warrior 1, warrior 2, warrior 3, or anything like that, it doesn't have to be the full expression. It doesn't have to be the picture perfect, whatever that is, from the BKS Iyengar book. You're just kind of moving towards it. So anything that kind of starts to resemble a little bit like that, and you can be in this position with ease, you can breathe, then you know that you are going in the right direction. So this is a kind of a big thing for your practice, obviously, for your movement practice. So what are some kind of a little bit more concrete? What are some things that you can do? And the other thing I always tell my students is, you might have, when you have a bad back day, you might have that urge, or you might want to feel like you're stretching something out. This is something that I would kind of question, and I would be like, well, let's look at this in a little bit more detail, because what stretching does is just kind of pulling the muscles apart, and then they obviously kind of go back to where they were before. So it's another extreme at the end of the day. So when you are in this kind of tensed position, and you go and, well, we could think of a rubber band where maybe there is a knot in there. So that's the same as in our connective tissue. If we pull on this rubber band, the knot just gets tighter. We're not going to release it. So what we have to do is we actually have to unknot this rubber band gently and slowly. And that might be by like opening it up a little bit of gentle movement, but it's not going to be stretching at the end of the day. So maybe this is helpful when you think about the type of movement that might be suitable for your bad back day. So I'm thinking things like your windscreen wiper movements on your back with your knees from side to side. I'm thinking small little pelvic tilts. I'm thinking about mini cat-cows, and I'm not thinking of going into your deepest stretch one way and then the other way. I'm thinking of small, kind of thinking, mobilizing, bringing in a little bit of blood flow, a little bit of movement, and then allowing the body to do the rest and to allow itself to heal. So these are just kind of, and maybe you've got some ideas as well. Maybe let me know in the chat if you've got some go-to movements or go-to things. I know that a lot of people enjoy things like the half downward dog, or maybe even a child's pose. As long as this is not a big stretch for you, as long as you can be in this position and breathe comfortably and allow for there to be a little bit of movement, then you're doing it right. So stay away from anything that kind of is pulling things completely apart and being too extreme. Good. So the other things you can do is obviously you can either take out a few things that you're doing on a regular basis And that might be things like things that are a little bit more challenging, twists, forward bends, things like that, where you're just kind of dialing back a little bit and you're a little bit more coming, especially with scoliosis, coming back home, as I call it. So coming back a little bit more to a neutral position where you can gently elongate the spine, but you can do this in a kind of a soft way. So we don't want to be rigid. We don't want to be kind of completely tensed up when we're in this bad back situation. And there might be kind of methods that work for you, and it really depends on what is going on for you, obviously personally, which is why think of it as there's not a one size fits all approach, unfortunately, just like with anything, but it's a good reminder of taking some time to think about what it is that you need right now. And that might go beyond, oh, I need a triangle pose right now, or I need shavasana right now, or I need a pose right now. So see if you can kind of think a little bit beyond the yoga mat. And it might be nourishment. It might be, actually, I need a really lovely home-cooked meal with lots of vegetable and a fresh juice. It might be something else. It might be, I really need to be outside. I need to be in nature. Maybe it's, oh, I need to be with someone who has a positive energy, who listens to me, and somebody maybe who can lighten up the situation. I'm just giving lots of different examples, obviously. But I would encourage you to kind of think about beyond just your exercise mat. And this can be difficult. And I think especially for women, it can be really, really difficult, especially if you're someone who's been looking after other people, looking after children, grandchildren, looking after other people in your job, in your life, whatever it might be, husbands, partners. It can be difficult to bring the focus back to you. But just remember that if you're helping yourself, you're also going to help those people around you. And coming out of pain is probably the best thing that you can do for those people around you as well, because nobody wants to see you in pain. It can be really, really difficult for people around you if, obviously, even if you're not like constantly complaining about pain, they can see what's going on, right? And it might be affecting your mood. It might be affecting how you speak with people. So doing something for yourself is also doing something for others. Just something to think about. And another thing that I sometimes find useful, and this is more if it gets really, really bad, if I feel like whatever I do, I've done all my windscreen wiper movements, I've done my restorative yoga, I've been to see somebody for a massage, I've been to the osteopath, I've done all the things, I would really go a little bit deeper. So going a little layer deeper and think about, or maybe journaling, right? Things like that don't always work for me, but journaling is a great way of going a little bit beyond what might be kind of the first instinct of what is going on. And it doesn't have to be kind of this big thing. What I did the last time was literally I took a piece of paper, I didn't think about it too much, and I wrote down what does the back pain want to tell me? And then I just wrote. And I wrote it all down. No kind of punctuation, whatever, spelling, doesn't matter. Didn't have to be like full sentences or anything like that. I wrote it all down on this piece of paper. I read through it afterwards, and then I chucked it in the bin. And it sounds like a silly thing to do. But it made a huge difference. And it kind of got me out of this whole like overthinking mode and, oh, what is it? What can I do? Why is this hurting now? Is there something wrong? Is there something really terrible going on? Do I need to see a specialist? And it kind of got me out of the spiral. And actually what I realized was I was really angry with some people in my life. That's what the pain was trying to tell me. And as soon as I kind of acknowledged this, the pain went away. And again, it might sound like, oh, is this really something? What have you got to lose, right? If you've tried all the things, if you've done, obviously the other nice things that can work is heat. If you've done your heat pack, you've done your whatever, using a massage ball or foam roller. I find a little bit too aggressive, but some people enjoy that. Have asked your partner for a massage, you've had the professional massage, you've kind of gone to, you know that there isn't anything else because you've already seen all the doctors, the osteopaths, the physios, and all of those people. You know that they're not going to tell you anything different. Then you've got nothing really. You've done all your exercises, you've done your strengthening, you've done your releasing. Then this is what have you got to lose, right? That's the thing that you can then try to explore, and you might just be surprised. It might not work, but you've got nothing to lose there. That would be my advice. And there's some nice resources about this as well. And we had Dr. Hanscom on this podcast a few months ago, and he's a really, really good. He's written some great books. Basically, I need to dig out the title, but it is about back pain, and he was a spinal surgeon for years, and he basically came to the conclusion that surgery wasn't the solution, but you have to find another way of calming your nervous system. And he does talk about calming your nervous system. He doesn't talk about yoga, but obviously yoga for a lot of people is a great way to calm the nervous system. Good. So Lauren is saying, I've found a guided meditation or stand-up comedy show. Yes, a good belly laugh. Yeah, absolutely. Great thing for your nervous system to break the cycle of pain. Exactly. And that's just the thing is exactly that. What does it take to interrupt this whole cycle? And guided meditation for me as well. I love listening to a soothing voice, and I love listening to guided meditations, but it doesn't work for everyone. Some people find it annoying or boring, or they're like, well, I don't know what the point is. And I'm thinking of my husband here. He would definitely stand-up comedy show. He would be well into it, right? And it's just changing that mindset. Louise, thank you very much. Back in Control from David Hanscom. Yes, that's the one. There's another one about surgery, but I would recommend this one first, Back in Control. And really, really well written, in my opinion, as well. It's a nice read, and it's easy to read. Sometimes these kind of more specialist books, they can become a little bit overwhelming with too many details that we don't actually need. But I think that one is really, really practical and really easy to understand as well. So thank you, Louise, for sharing that. Yeah, so let me know if are there any things. I'm thinking back at my I'm looking back at my notes. What are kind of the things in your toolkit? What are the things that help you? And they might not necessarily be the same as they are for me. So I know that some people like cold. And I'm even thinking about it, my nervous system goes like, no, thank you. Ice baths and things like that. You would never see me near any of those, but for some people, and I think it's more the fact of after that ice bath, it does wonders, right? And they feel like a new person afterwards, and it feels like a great thing. Permission to do less is another thing I wrote down. Obviously, we don't have to stop everything, but we can maybe dial it back a little bit. And we know if we think about it as this is not going to last forever, this is a temporary thing, our mindset is completely different about it. Because I used to get myself into this state of more with exhaustion, probably, where I'm like, I'm really tired, I have no energy. But I know that this is not going to last forever, right? I know that it might be cycle related. It might be things going on in my life right now. But I know if I take a few days and rest a little bit more, do less, I will get back to my normal self as well. Using props, obviously, in your practice, especially if you think about kind of making your practice a little bit more restorative, use all the props, use your blankets, use your bolsters. Even if you're like, I don't actually need them, give yourself a little bit more support. And it's an act of self-care, self-love, and it's going to make it a lot more enjoyable. Good. So Louise is saying, I use homeopathic remedies, especially, and excuse me if I'm saying it wrong, Bryonia 200, when you don't want to move. See, you can tell I don't know anything about homeopathic remedies. Hypericum 200, which is for nerve pain. These have been really helpful for me. Yes, and I love that you've obviously found things that work for you. And we had someone else actually in the membership who was talking about this as well, talking about homeopathic remedies. So it doesn't always have to be I need to go to like a pain clinic and they're going to give me lots of whatever steroid injections and going to give me all the heavy medication, because we know all of this comes with side effects at the end of the day. So we want to try everything else. We do want to get out of pain. So sometimes it is a good idea, especially if it's something acute. If you have recently injured yourself, I'm going to come back to my knee injury. I would take painkillers for that. I'm not taking anything too strong, but my paracetamol or whatever, because I get a better night's sleep, which in effect has an effect obviously on my nervous system in that way as well. So this is also something to keep in mind. Sometimes we were like, oh, I don't want to take anything. If it's going to help you get a better night's sleep, then do take it, because your body is going to thank you for that. You don't have to take it then the whole day long, but if it prevents you from sleeping, the pain, then it's definitely something to consider. Good. So go-to practices, and again, if you have I'm sure you've got, if you're following this channel, you probably have your favorites, right? You probably have like a short 10-minute video or something like that, where this works for me. It's easy. I can do it. I don't have to. I've probably done it 20 times already, so I know what Christine is saying. I don't have to kind of think about it too much. and I know how to adjust or whatever. I know how much of it to do. So just kind of a good idea to come back to something familiar. It's not necessarily the time to explore lots of new, different movements that might or might not work. Good. So that's what I have to share. I love, obviously, hearing all your ideas. And that's what I love about this community as well, because we're all helping each other, and we all have different things and different approaches at the end of the day. If you do need help with your movement practice, we know obviously that it's a very, very individual thing, and every curve is different. You might have had spinal fusion or not. It depends on how old you are, if you've had any previous injuries. It depends on what you do in your life. So you might be playing the violin all day, or you might be sitting in your office all day, or you might be doing a lot of gardening or playing golf or whatever it is. We want to find a movement practice that works for us. And this is really where the one-to-one approach works best, especially when you're suffering from pain. So obviously you've got my support in the membership, in the Shine membership, if it's the light version with the videos, or if it's the full version with the live classes as well. But if you feel like you need a little bit more and you want more of my support and kind of get have like a more tailor-made program, you get a video from me as well, which is just for you and just for your curvature, tailored completely to what you need. Then I will put the link in the description with my new one-to-one programs that I will be offering. And yeah, it's just a great way of going a little bit deeper and maybe getting through this phase wherever you are right now, especially if you are kind of, if you're finding it difficult to get out of this cycle of pain, and you want a little bit more support, then it's there for you. So that is really all that I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so much for listening to me and for your thoughts and for joining the conversation. Louise is saying, thanks, Christine. That was a great topic and so useful. Yes, we want to keep it practical, right? We want to keep it relevant, obviously, for everyone. And I think as long as we're alive, we are going to have bad back days. It's just a matter of how we deal with it and how we can manage it, and making sure we've got good days afterwards as well. Good. So thanks, everyone. And I see you next month for the next back chat. Bye, everyone.